With Set 8's release right around the corner, now is the perfect time to break down 5 of the best early game openers in the new set. There's a lot of info here, so I recommend bookmarking this video and coming back to it as you need. Let's get started. One of my favorite openers in the early game, Anima Squad is super powerful when you hit an early Nasus, Silas, or Galio 2-star. For carry items, you're looking to slam an early Ginsu's or Giant Slayer, but if you get tank items, then Sunfire works as well. This opener is solid because your early frontline core are all 1-cost units, making it very easy to 2-star at least one of them, and as long as you slam the items I mentioned earlier, it can lead to some insane late game comps. At level 5, you can add in Sivir for Civilian 2 and more backline damage. From here, you have a few options. In later stages, you can swap out Jinx for Vayne and go for a Vayne 3-star carry. Jinx reroll is also an underrated and powerful comp, which really shines with the Civilian trait active. If sure shots are more your style, then a full pivot into Samira carry is also quite powerful late game. As for carry items, if you plan to go for an AD carry, Ginsu's, Giant Slayer, Infinity Edge, and Runan's Hurricane are all solid choices. But if you plan to stick it out with Jinx reroll, you'll need to make Ginsu's and Shojin, as those are her 2 core items. From there, any AP item works for her 3rd slot. Giant Slayer is recommended if you need to slam it early, as it can be flexed into both AD and AP comps. For augments, this really depends on whether you go for Jinx or an AD carry. Celestial Blessing, Scoped Weapons, and Cybernetic Implant are all great AD carry options. The Duelist 4 opener is really powerful when you get AD carry items as well as a Kale 2-star early. If you get Infinity Edge, Ginsu's, Giant Slayer, or similar items in your opening, then this is for you. You want to play Kale as your carry, and have Gangplank, Fiora, and Yasuo frontline. Keep in mind, 4 Duelist is very squishy early, so if at all possible, a Bramble Vest or early Zizirot slam can really help to barely stall out those rounds. At level 5, you want to add in Annie. She's a great standalone tank at this level. Plus, with Ox Force 2, her and Fiora will stall out just a couple seconds longer without needing any tank items. From here, there are several ways to pivot this board. Vayne is the most practical transition, but Zed also works late game if you're looking to stay with duelists. Sure Shot provides a great angle here if you want to swap to Senna or Samira carry. Lastly, Mecha Prime is also an option by moving to Draven if you find Jax at level 6 or 7. Solid augments to look for are Scoped Weapons, Thrill of the Hunt, Makeshift Armor, and Celestial Blessing. Now we're moving on to the Renegade 3 opener. Renegade 3 is a strong opener because it's highly flexible with both carry items and the traits you can use. You should play this opener if you get heavy AP items and a Talon 2-star. AP items like Deathcap and Jeweled Gauntlet will go to Talon, of course, and let Blitzcrank hold any tank items you find. At level 5, you can add in Lee Sin for Brawler 2 and quick access to the Heart trait. Annie is also an option if you want to lean into Ox Force instead. This opener's light shines in its ability to pivot into multiple different carries. Now, if you're looking to stay with Renegade's late game, it's best you play Annie at level 5 and keep adding in Ox Force units and transition into Viego carry. But if admin is more your style, then stick with Lee Sin and transition to LeBlanc carry at later levels. Simply swap out the Renegade for Spellslingers and Heart units. This is also a good angle to play Soraka carry. Just be careful, as you may need to remake LeBlanc if that's the route you choose to take. For items, any AP items work, but keep in mind, Viego does not use blue buff, but LeBlanc and Soraka need it. Viego needs Hodge or Bloodthirster to provide sustain since he's in melee. It's best to slam the 2 AP damage items until you know how your late game is going to play out. Deathcap, Jeweled Gauntlet, Giant Slayer, and Archangel Staff are all excellent choices. Augment choices here could be Luden's Echo, Axiomark, Cybernetic Uplink, Jeweled Lotus, Celestial Blessing, or Thrill of the Hunt. If you're serious about hitting your rank goals in Set 8, then don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on the latest tips, comp guides, and meta breakdowns like this one. Like the other openers in this list, Gadgetzine 3 is strong because it's flexible, and you can pivot into several different boards. You'll want to go for this opener if you get an early Lulu or Poppy 2-star. If you get heavy AP items, then slam them on Lulu as she's actually a solid carry. If you get tank components, you want to give it to Poppy instead. Now at level 4, there's 2 options. If you get tank components early, you'll need to stall out rounds to win, so you should add Defender 2 at level 4 with Wukong or Rel. But if you get AP components, you should go for the Heart trait instead with Lee Sin or Yuumi. Then at level 5, add whichever trait you didn't add before. Now for late game comps to transition to, you can go for Zoe carry here with Gadgetzine Hearts and a splash of Prankster. Spellslinger LeBlanc with Heart and Admin Splash is possible from this position as well. Finally, Talia carry with Star Guardian Spellslingers is also very strong. Talia is especially good if you get Rel and Yuumi as your level 4 and 5 units. For items, you'll want blue buff ASAP unless you're playing Talia late game. She prefers Shojin combined with any 2 AP items like Jewel Gauntlet, Archangel Staff, and Giant Slayer. Since Heart and Spellslinger provide raw AP, it's best to stay away from Death Cap unless you need to slam it early. Your augments to look out for are Luden's Echo, Cybernetic Uplink, and Jeweled Lotus. Axiom Arc is also useful here, but you can skip it for better options if you go with Talia late game. Her mana pool is too big, unlike Zoe and LeBlanc, who can end up double or triple casting if they kill a unit. Finally, one of the most fun openers to get is Underground 3. This is the Econ Lost Streak trait. It can be a 1st or 8th strat sometimes, but when you hit, it's really OP. If you can get an early 2-star brawler like Blitzcrank or Renekton, it really helps to keep your losses from getting too harsh. As for items, if you get Ginsu's, give it to Kale, and you'll be looking to pivot into an AD comp. But if you get magic items like Blue Buff or Death Cap, give it to Ezreal, and plan to pivot into an AP comp. At level 5, you should throw in a Recon or Duelist unit, depending on who's holding the carry items. Vayne gives both, so I used her in this example. Your options for pivoting are literally endless with this opener. You're mainly playing around the items you get and the strength of your vault cash out. Ideally, you'd like to Lost Streak stage 2 and 3 without losing too much health. Slamming early tank items like Sunfire and Warmogs plus a single carry item really helps to reduce the health losses here. Then, you'll cash out the vault just before you lose too much health and go for a powerful board. For augments, Tiny Titans, Rich Get Richer, Calculated Loss, Metabolic Accelerator, and Consistency are the best options you can find. Keep in mind you only want one Econ augment. The other 2 choices should be based on the comp you pivot into, whether it's AP or AD. Which opener are you excited to try? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Swagadelic.